Smash that limiter!
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Welcome to episode 45. Wow. It's getting on there, isn't it? Oh, look at my orange
We're
face.
5 away from half a century.
Why is my face so orange? So
Have you been eating a lot of
been a lot of carrots.
a lot of carrots?
Yeah. The light was on white light, but I needed to go ultra white. Now it's looking it's looking a little bit better. Yeah, my little wing light.
Yeah, right.
So, how have you been, Spliffy? Tell us how you've been.
Tired. I've been doing a lot of work, but other than that, very, very good.
Yeah, it's been
How
like
about
that.
you?
Yeah, it's been like that for me as well. It's been a long week, but like a good solid week.
Yeah.
Been a lot of interesting things have happened. Learned a lot of new things, and had some interesting people come through work. That's for sure. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good. I was glad Friday came around though, and then Saturday I ended up driving down to Streaky to watch some of the A grade footy players play their unfortunately last game of the season, meaning they lost. My footy team anyway, and then I was watching the D grade netball, which won. They won by a lot.
Nice.
So yeah, no, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was a good day. And then we socialized later on that night, and I was just like, this is weird for me because I'm sort of not really a sociable person. I don't really go out and socialize that much these days in my older years, and now I'm doing it, and this is weird. But I had a ball, and then obviously we been playing lots of Once Human.
Oh yeah, we've been playing a lot of Once Human. I think I may have a small problem.
Yeah.
I can stop whenever I want.
Yeah. No, it's not a problem if you can stop whenever you want, Just choose not to.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay pulling an all-nighter and just not sleeping or eating, It's fine.
I have quests to finish.
It's all right that if I decide to move my laptop into the toilet so I don't have to get up,
No, you're thinking about this wrong. You don't take your laptop into the toilet. You take your toilet to where you play on your laptop.
No, what you do is you say your toilet's in one room and your bedroom's in the other room next to it. You just put a hole through the wall. and then you just sit there.
Maximize efficiency.
Maximize efficiency and just sit there playing through, like, sitting sideways on the toilet, like playing the game, and just don't get off, and then just have someone serve you food, so then that way you just never have to move, That's how professional WoW players used to play,
Oh god. I could only imagine, and I don't want to.
I was watching this esports video, and like watching some of these esports players play games is just, what the fuck is wrong with them? Like
So there's like their fingers are flying all over the keyboards, creating like a
no, they're not
per second.
No, they're not like that. They're not like the OG like crazy. They've got the mice that, like, when you pick up your mouse and you do that and you do that, it that's a movement. Like, that's a activation of a key. And so they're playing with that, and they got their keyboards fucking sideways, and they got the monitors like in their face, like here, and they're like doing this. And I'm just like, who the fuck plays like that? That's not making you better. I'm sorry, mate. Going cross eyes into the pixels directly in your eyes, like, oh, mate, they're gonna end up being like 30 and fucking blind.
This is why I think 1080p is king, because they're zooming so far into this 4K monitor that they're actually just looking at 1080p.
Yeah, they are.
Of anyway.
Essentially, yeah, they're idiots. And they are, like, because I know quite a lot of pro players who play keyboard and mouse normal, or God forbid they play with a fucking controller. Oh, wow.
Why is that? Why do you say that?
Because a lot of esport elitists think that keyboard and mouse is always going to trump any person that plays on controller, where I'm a believer in you just play whatever's comfortable, and usually what's comfortable you're always best at. And I find a lot of people that play keyboard and mouse can get beaten by people with controllers. because the person with the controller just happens to be comfortable, more responsive because of that. I mean, yeah, a keyboard and mouse is faster because there's no lag or no delay, and the sensors on the controllers are usually shit anyway. But the fact that they can beat you with a controller when they're at a disadvantage means that you're not really that good of a player. So yeah, it's kind of like how an Australian beats an American with lag. It's like, it's just our skill level's better. It's just face it, you suck. This lighting is fucking annoying me.
What's going on with your lighting?
Well, the camera, this camera's terrible with dark light situations, but the problem is I can't have the ceiling light on because otherwise it saturates it and it makes everything orange. And like, look at my hands waving. It's not liking that. Look at the shadows. It is. Look at the shadows. Ooh, wow. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
What about if you got like a little desk lamp and put in,
Well, I have a lamp. I've got the ring light, which is good because it can change the color and the intensity and all that sort of stuff. But
right.
I mean, it works fine. It's just this room is very dark because obviously I got the blind down, so that way the natural light doesn't blind the camera as well because the sun sits like in the back corner like that way, which goes straight into the face of the camera, which fucks that up. So yeah, it is. It's probably adjusting the pink background, I reckon. I'm just playing the video of when we were. Let's just play this one. Yeah, when we were playing Gartic. Yeah. But anyway, that's better.
Would that be
fucking, that was a while ago now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was that like one of the first Gartic games we ever played?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was.
Right.
Yeah.
I may have a recording of that too.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to play so much Gartic. I was terrible at it. I'm not
good. You need to get a graphics tablet. You need to get a graphics tablet and join us with the graphics tablet.
It's not the drawing side of it, it's the spelling side of it.
Oh, that's it. Get yourself a graphics tablet and a dictionary.
No, that's what Google's for. I use Google. It's faster than a dictionary.
Well, it depends.
Yeah, I don't know.
How fast are you at flicking through pages?
Not very. But but yeah, some other interesting thing as well. I am currently going through the process of joining the CFS. So that's fun. I've just submitted my police background check and all that. That's why I made that joke in the name.
Oh,
because when they go through police check, they see if there's any like history like that. Because surprisingly or not, in the CFS there is a lot of arsenic people.
Yeah, actually, no, I do understand that. Because there's this whole I forget what it's called. Like heroes syndrome or something like that, where a lot of firefighters will actually start fires so that way they can get out and put the fires out.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's so peculiar, which I don't understand why you would want to do that.
Because I was asked a question, I was like, why do you want to join? And I just said, just to get new skills and stuff like that. And like, I'm not in it to be a hero. I don't really give a shit about that stuff. I just want to learn new things, develop new skills. There's a lot of things that you can learn in the CFS that you just don't normally learn. Also first aid. Like, I really like learning first aid and being able to help those if I in the event that I was to come across someone. So CFS train and all that, obviously, because I have to, because you're usually first on the scene. And then of course I was asking user questions. Are you okay with seeing like death and all that sort of stuff? And I'm like, I don't care. Because I've seen lots of human bodies, mostly cadavers though, so it's not so bad. But yeah, I because obviously, like a lot of you who don't know, I have a very science rich background. I'm an animal scientist, and part of that is biology. That also includes humans. So I didn't study human biology per se as a subject, but it was just like, well, if you're studying animals, you need to sort of learn a bit of human biology along with it.
Because goes hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, especially disease and immunology, like the way animals' body systems works pretty much the same as humans, and most of the time they're like the same.
Right.
In terms of like the way the immune system responds, the white blood cells are exactly the same. The way the blood works, all that sort of stuff. The only difference is obviously like your heart rate, your temperature, all that sort of stuff is different depending on the animal and the species. Like dogs, for example, a larger dog's heart rate's much slower than a smaller dog's heart rate. So yeah, they go in hand to hand. And part of my fascination was always watching medical like documentaries and watching lectures and stuff like that, dissecting bodies, and then actually going to the Human Body Expo, which is an expo where they had how many human bodies were there? They're all humans donated for science. Mostly of the majority of them are from a Asiatic background too.
Right.
Yeah, which was really fascinating because a lot of them are smokers too. And like these people have been dead for like 5, 6, 7 years. They've been dead for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, and
they just put it in the fridge or something?
No, so they do this cool preservation thing to preserve the bodies, and this technique was relatively new. I mean, under 10 years is new in the world of science. Where they replace the water of the human body with a type of polymer silicon type substance.
Yeah.
And the good thing about doing it that way is you keep your color. Because usually when you die, you lose your color. So your brain doesn't stay pink anymore. Or your arteries and your veins change to white instead of pink and blue. And all that sort of stuff. And your nerves and stuff like that all lose their color and they just go white or clear or whatever. With this process stops that from happening, so you keep your color. So you can see the color of all your organs and stuff like that naturally when blood's going through it and you're alive. Which is really handy. And the other cool thing about it is it doesn't require the bodies to be preserved in like really... Well, it's good to keep it obviously from air conditioned to room temperature, but you don't need to, like, if it's a 40-degree day and you're struggling to like get it below the 30, it's not bad. Like, because there's nothing in the body to break down anymore. It's basically been turned to plastic. But it's still a human body. So, like, yeah, it's still an actual human body. So their eyes, everything in them is there, is living, well, now dead, but was living tissue. So it's really fascinating. And the one thing I found interesting about it was the lungs of each individual that were there. Because in Asiatic countries, smoking is still very, very common. Like, probably be like 1 out of 1 out of 10 people isn't a smoker or something like that. It's something stupid.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's the
high.
Yeah, it's ridiculously high.
What causes that? What?
I don't know, culture, I guess.
Why? Yeah, I suppose culture would make sense.
But
yeah, that's peculiar.
It was interesting because, like, you know, we're around doctors because the Human Body Expo, let's face it, it's medical practitioners that are going there. It's not many people, especially bringing their kid like me. You know, I was a teenager going there, and it was like seeing people's lungs that were heavy smokers and the tar still oozing out of it.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
So when you die, the tar in your lungs from the smoking still continuously oozes. It's still like, it's weird because when you look at the lung and it's like all bluey and then it's the black shit and it looks wet. And I asked one of the workers and the tour guide person, and I was like, yeah, no, it stays wet even after they die. This process doesn't eliminate that. So that will just be oozing for the entire time. Sometimes it gets so bad we have to put a drip tray underneath it.
Oh, wow.
It's just like, yeah.
That is kind of gross, actually.
Yeah, it is really, really gross. And then, yeah, it's just like, it's really, really fascinating. So anyway, my point is, is seeing death to me isn't a problem because I look at it in scientific perspective or medical perspective.
It gives you like a way to
It
sort
gives
of cope with it?
no, not cope, but it gives me a way to sort of go into a mindset of where emotionally it's fine. Like it doesn't bother me. This is fine. This is fine. It would be different if it was someone that I knew and cared about.
Yeah,
that there will be an emotional response, obviously, that. But if it's to a stranger and I'm coming across them and they've just decided, or I've been walking like this. This has unfortunately happened a bit with my family, where my family have discovered human remains from old elderly people in particular, like falling down and becoming deceased on an embankment. It happens a lot, especially like where we used to live. Where and then like we could smell the body, but we couldn't actually see it in a lot of the cases, and then we just like let the SES know, state emergency service, and just let them know, but like, oh, there's a person that you're missing. I smelt remains at this location, and then next day you see them all doing the emu walk, and then they find the body.
Emu walk?
Yeah, so the emu walk is when so they call it an emu walk or an emu bob or whatever, where you walk in like a perfect straight line. It's a type of search and rescue method, and you all work in a very big, long, open, spread out line,
okay.
and you walk in one direction. And it's
That's
yeah.
That's what it was called. How peculiar.
It's called something. It's called some other methods in other countries, but in Australia it's like emu walk, emu bob, or whatever. Because you're walking like emus when you're doing it, because you're like constantly looking down, all that sort of stuff, bobbing your head and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, okay, that actually makes sense now that you say it like
yeah.
that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I have seen a lot and understand a lot, so it doesn't really bother me as much. Some other people it does, and that's fine. But yeah, I was asked that, and I explained that to them, and they were like, "Ah, fair enough." And yeah, because like my situation would be like, if they were really hurt, would be like getting them out, first aid, like doing what I can, listening to instructions from obviously the people that know what they're doing, because I'll be learning obviously, and yeah, just doing the best I can to make sure they can get out safely, and then they can get off to get medical attention from the ambos and then the hospital. And if there's a body, it's just trying to sort of do as I'm told to make sure that we can sort of like get this cleaned up as fast as possible, so then that way traffic can resume basically. Because when there's usually a fatality at an accident, usually they shut the highway off for ages. So your goal is to get it cleaned up as quick as possible, because otherwise you're impeding the literal one way in and one way out of an entire area. Causes a lot of problems. And causes more accidents. As people start running late, and then they get impatient, and then when they get impatient, mistakes happen. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So yeah, I did it for that. Just new skills and something different, you know.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And then I think it'd be good fun as well. Like, because the people that are obviously there are really nice, so I already know them through work and whatnot, since, you know, I live in a small town. So, yeah. But have you ever thought about doing anything like that, Spliffy?
Actually, fun fact, I used to be in the RFS.
What's
when
that?
I was a teenager. The Rural Fire Service. It's basically the same as CFS, but in, I guess, where I live, it's called rural rather than country.
How come you left? Just got too busy.
No, well, I mean, I was in school. I didn't really understand what was going on, and also something really bad happened, which actually got so big it ended up on the news, and basically, like, the whole atmosphere of the crew just completely changed, like, to a really high, to a real harsh, negative atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I joined because I was with my what's it? My one of my relatives basically. Well, he'd been in the service for quite some time at that point actually, and I more or less like, one day tagged along,
Yeah.
and then I was there for a couple of years. Never saw any action or anything like that because I was still in high school, so
Yeah.
so never really came to that. But even my relative who got me to join up. No, that's not the who basically convinced me to join up. He left as well actually because
Because of
he
the
was
drama.
yeah, basically he left and he was like high up. He was actually second in command
Oh,
at the
wow.
time
Yeah.
as well. So it had gotten really, really bad by that point. So he
Yeah.
left, then I left. Or was it no, I left, then he left.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was actually I think that was actually about a decade ago I left.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
I had
okay.
been like thinking about joining it a lot. But the problem was where I'm from, the local CFS regiments are very cliquey, and
Oh
I
yeah, they
already
always are.
yeah, and I already knew people in them because uh, I know a fair amount of people like I just through school and whatnot. And and obviously Air Force cadets as well, because a lot of Air Force cadets end up being CFS members as well.
Yeah.
I I found through them talking to me about it, it was too cliquey and too political, and they
Oh, don't
would
you love that?
crack the shits with you if they paid you that you need to go to a scene ASAP and you're working and you say no. They'll crack the shits with you, and it gets to the point where they just kick you out because you didn't go to enough call outs. When it's like, well, I was working, and I told you
Is it
that
volunteer anyway?
it is, yes.
Well, then...
And that's the way it's supposed to be. But unfortunately, these people are very fucking hardcore to the point where they think it's MFS, which is Metropolitan Fire Service, which is a full-time job.
Yeah, right.
And they are expected to go because they are literally paid to do it. It's their job. They are a paid firefighter. Paid really well too. And it's hard to get into. A lot harder than the police, put it that way. And anyway, so it's just very political compared to out here where it's like family, work, then them. And they go, you get out what you put in. So it's like if you're working and they message you and you say, "Sorry, mate, I'm at work, can't get away." Okay, no worries. That's it. And I was telling them that there obviously because that was a concern of mine. They're like, nah, it's not like that out here. And they were like, yeah, we do know what they're like back in the city, and the suburbs and whatnot, and what they do is wrong, but that's just the way they are, and that's the reason why no one talks to them. So, because apparently, no one outside talks to them much because of they're like that. They think they're better than everyone. They think they're like MFS.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know it's a bit stupid, but anyway, so that's the reason why I was more inclined to join this one, because it is more voluntary. It is farming, like orientated, like because a lot of the farmers are the CFS volunteers, and which means that everyone's like pretty chill and relaxed and happy to teach instead of like get power trips and stuff like that. Like I know others are. So yeah, so that's the reason why I sort of want to do it, and plus also like it keeps me in the loop of what's going on in the community, especially when footy season's not on. So I know what's going on and all that sort of stuff, which is good. But they do cool things out here as well. So because of where they are, they have all the training at access to them because they see everything. And they also do, which is kind of cool, which I didn't know, but they also help the police with drug raids.
What? That is peculiar.
So
they knock down the door? Is that how that
works?
works?
They go in with the cops, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The reason why they do that is obviously you have to be trained to do this. It's not like anybody
definitely.
like I'm not gonna go day one. I'm doing drug raid. No, although theoretically I could, but anyway, that's another story. I would have to be trained and stuff like that, obviously, and have to do police training with them, and then a whole heap of other training. It's more for the chemical side of things, because the reason why they do it is, say it's a meth lab. There's a lot of chemicals and toxic gases and volatile gases that they need to neutralize as fast as possible, so that the police don't accidentally ignite it.
Ooh.
Or anyone else ignites it, including the criminals. So that's why they go in. So they go in. Their job is to make sure when they find the meth lab to neutralize the toxic gases and to deal with the situation and make it safe. That is why they do it. So yeah, that's why it's important that the fireys do that, and they do that in back in the city as well. But only certain individuals probably do it. It'll be more like MFS as well instead of CFS. But yeah, it's pretty cool though, isn't it?
No, it is actually. I'm really excited for you, because that sounds like one of those really interesting gigs where, you know, it sounds like you're going to learn a lot. That's for certain.
Yeah, definitely.
I would be excited about.
And like I've done basic fire training and that through uni, because like when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you kind of have to have basic firefighting training, but it's like it's so basic. It's like theory. You don't actually do anything. And I said that to him. Like, I have had technically bushfire training, but I wouldn't count it. And they're like laughing, they're rolling their eyes. I'm like, it's literally like a lecture, and like how the procedure on burn offs and what you need to do and all that sort of shit, the rules and regs and all that crap. But you don't actually do it. You don't actually go out with a CFS like brigade and actually learn, which I think they should, because when you're in the middle of bloody nowhere, and I've been stuck in bushfires and it is scary. You need to sort of know what you're doing. Like, I had to drive through fires. You know, it was pretty bad, the one that I was stuck in when I was out on the field.
Yeah, it's...
yeah, well, I had my phone...
Imagine being useful for the job.
Well, the thing is like, when that happened was... So I was out on field. It was during my honours. And there was a really nasty bushfire in my state. And it destroyed millions and millions of dollars of property. It was bad. It spread. Oh, where did it spread? It was fucking all over the place. It was like it spread to like 6 or 7 towns, like in the country. So this is like hundreds and hundreds of kilometers long. And like entire paddocks were just black, burnt trees, and I think there was a couple of fatalities. I know there was a few people that almost died. There was a guy on a highway, and I drove past the car and I saw it like hit a stovey pole, and I was like, "Fuck, what happened there?" And I found out later on through someone else who was in the CFS, said that they were driving along, and because they were driving so thick in the smoke, the car died.
Oh no!
And then because it died, someone fucking rear-ended them because they can't see in front of them, and they crashed into the back of them, and then sent them flying into a stovey pole, and then left them there. They didn't even stop to like get them out. Yeah, they got rescued by a CFS truck. Yeah, so so that was pretty crazy when I heard that. I was like, fuck, I'm glad they're all right.
Yeah, jeez.
But yeah, I drove through. So where I was working was about 4. No, it wasn't that far. I think it was like 3 hours. 3 hours away from where I was living. And I was living in country at the time with an ex who lived out there. And yeah, so I was traveling home because I needed to get home because I ran out of food supplies and all that sort of stuff as well. And there was a bit of section there, a good solid kilometre long, where there's a fire on left and to the right of me, and I had to drive through it all. I was allowed to, though. I was given permission by the CFS to do it, but yeah, it was pretty sketchy. And then, like, funnily enough, a week later we had flood. Like, the whole country was on fire, and this was like during the time as well. Yeah, this was during the time where my state was on fire, Queensland was on fire. Yeah,
this is when this is the 2020 fires, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah,
far out.
Yeah,
that's intense.
Yeah, everything was on fire. So yeah, I drove through all that, and I was around it, and I just smelled smoke for days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that night though, I was really worried because it was heading towards us, and it was traveling at like, that fire was traveling fast. Put it this way: if you were to travel at 400 kilometers per hour, you would still not outrun this fucking fire.
Oh, what?
That's how quick it was traveling because of the wind. The wind was pushing it in a direction, and it was traveling fucking fast. We're just watching the map, and it's just going. It's like this, and like on that map, that's hundreds of kilometers.
Oh,
that
wow.
it's just like eating up. It's ridiculous how fast they go when they get going, especially with the wind on them.
Yeah, far out.
Yeah.
It didn't really. I remember those fires very well, actually. Yeah, I remember that one time we for work we went down to not Botany Bay. I can't remember the name of it. We went down to the coast, and there's one on the way back. We actually went through Cobargo.
Yeah.
And then I think in the same afternoon, we found out it was pretty clear as day. I think it was maybe that afternoon or the next day that we found out that Cobargo had been burnt to the ground. And I thought to myself, oh, that's pretty intense. We were just there.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's it? But yeah, those fires were probably they were pretty intense and quite frightening. Actually, I wouldn't want that to happen again.
Yeah, and they will happen again, unfortunately, because it's Australia.
To that extent, do you think?
Yeah. Especially since like a lot of government funding's been pulled from the CFS and the MFS. Like in general.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. That's actually one of the reasons why that happened.
Yeah. So when we get a whole heap of wet seasons, and we've had a lot, even this season's been a little bit wet as well. You get a lot of growth, a lot of grasses and stuff like that. And normally what we do to control the fire's devastation is we do a lot of burn-offs, which is where we will burn a section of property to cut down the fuel. And burn-offs are really important in our country because the Aboriginals many, many years ago started doing this as a common practice, where they started doing their own burn-offs. Although theirs are a lot less controlled than ours. Where they'll burn a section of area, and then when they come back, because obviously a lot of them were very nomadic, not all tribes did this, but a lot of them, particularly up north, did. When they come back next season, there will be plentiful growth because they've basically reduced the competition, and it got to the stage as well where our natural wildlife actually produces from fires, so they won't breed unless there's a fire. Yakas are the biggest example of that. They literally don't germinate unless smoke or heat is present.
How peculiar.
Yeah. So anyway, so we would normally do this often, but it's gotten to the stage, it's all political, but where they weren't doing it as frequently and as often, and a lot of the times they weren't given enough resources, and the burn-offs they were told they to do, they didn't have enough manpower to do, so sometimes they would get a little bit out of control. Sometimes they were told they had to do like 15 burn-offs in a week, and they're just like, that's not feasible. It's just all these factors. Anyway, it ended up coming to what happened was when pretty much the whole country was on fire. Unfortunately, some of these fires were also caused by someone starting them. Others were caused.
Hearing about that.
Yeah, others were caused by other things like a farmer's car's exhaust caught something on fire, which can happen. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's just Australia is just naturally designed to catch on fire. So, yeah. And then usually floods happen afterwards as well, so that's always fun. Or cyclone. But yeah, floods happened. It was real bad as well. So we had a real bad fire, and then a flood happened. Where I had to convert my car into a submarine. I had to drive through a waterway so I can get home.
Yeah, and then COVID happened after not too long after that. And it's like,
couple
dude,
years later,
I'm kind of sick and tired of living through historic events. Can we just chill
Yep.
out for a minute, please?
Yeah. Yeah, we've gone through quite a few turning points in history, haven't we?
In the last 5 years,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's really shown as well what humanity is like in a disaster. And I can tell you one thing, confidently. Humanity will always survive, but we are fucking dumb about it. Like come on.
Throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Like, we're so stupid. And the worst thing about it is, like, those responsible never get in trouble, and that's what annoys me.
I took a class called Turning Points in History.
And we literally lived one. Like, probably the most catastrophic one. Yeah. COVID's probably the most catastrophic of them all, I reckon. In terms of the way the whole economy and everything just fucked.
Yes.
Like, I think it was worse than even the Depression when you think about it.
Well, I mean, there's two parts of that, right?
Yeah.
The depression became the depression that we all know and hate today. Is because like their economy wasn't as strong as ours. They didn't have globalization. Yeah. They didn't have a lot of the trading routes that we have now, which is why the whole thing basically crumbled to pieces. Doesn't necessarily mean, and here's the sort of the what's the opposite of silver? Here's the dark lining, right? Just because we have a strong economy doesn't mean we can't basically drop down to that level and go through another depression.
We have already, when you think about it. I mean, it's not to the same extent, right? So there's a lot of safety nets in place, so we have roofs around our heads, but not all of us do. Like, there's a housing crisis as well at the moment. And then there's inflation, which is a bad crisis. Then there's debt crises and all that sort of stuff. Like, at the moment, the uni hex debt thing's a big thing in our country because
it is.
Like me and you, Spliffy, are struggling to pay it off because the way it's set up is we will never pay it off, even though we're doing the payments. It's you know, like, for example, like you pay $1,300 in 1 year on it, and then it goes up $1,800. It's like, well, how the fuck am I going to win on that one? Like,
it's gonna be a bit ruthless, but I think it's gonna be possible.
Yeah, I think the only way for you to pay it off properly is if you to actually pay more than what the rate is.
Yes, I believe that's what the plan is going to be for next year.
Yeah,
I'm gonna sort out a plan.
Yeah, I'll need to do the same as well, because, like, to be honest, the problem with the hex debt. Okay, so you don't actually have to pay it back. You do, but you don't.
Yeah, it's not like they come after you if you don't pay it back.
It's not the same as like you're owning a loan to like a bank or something. But a problem is you get taxed higher when you have a hex debt, so you actually lose more money in tax. Because obviously you're paying a hex debt, but then you also get a higher tax threshold as well, which is weird the way it works. But anyway, and then you also have banks seeing it as a loan, which I don't think they should count it, because it's literally like if you're at the bottom threshold, it's 1% of your wage, which is like nothing, which is also why you're not really paying it off properly. Because if you're obviously in a higher threshold and you get a higher rate, therefore you actually start paying it back. So like teachers and lawyers and doctors, all of them will have theirs paid off within a couple of years. Versus us, we will never have it paid off, and the debt will go higher and higher with each year of indexation, which is the way that works. Is you start, say for example, you finish uni with a 25k debt in hex. Each year, that 25k is indexed to the following year's inflation adjustment. So the dollar's inflation. So that 25 will be percentage at the inflation rate, which is 0.05% or something like that. Problem is each year that same new figure is indexation. So say for example you had 25, then it went up 26,000. So then that indexation goes off the 26,000, and then it goes up more and more and more. It's kind of like interest, but it's not.
Increases exponentially.
Yes,
Which is
it's a
easy
real
to
problem.
Get away from you.
Yeah. So this year was a 1.6% indexation, I think it was.
Yeah, right.
It was really high. It's 1.6 or 1.3. It was 1 point. It was high. So that's the reason why it went up. Mine went up 1,800.
Yeah, right. Jeez.
Which is ridiculous. So, but anyway, so what my point is that I think times these days are harder in a different way, because it's now affecting the middle income earners, where the people with jobs and stuff like that are sort of starting to struggle to sort of pay the bills and stuff because of the cost of living going up and everything else is going up. And then insurance is doing some real dodgy shit too.
Yeah, I'm really careful with who I sign up with for insurance, because there's a lot of insurances that I simply don't have, because I look at it and think I'm probably not gonna actually see anything out of this. It's just a money drain, really.
So I discovered something on a YouTube channel, and it was in England, and I thought I want to try it here. So you're doing a quote up for an insurance scheme on your car, full comp, right? And the more times you do this query, like doing a quote, the fucking premium goes up.
What do you mean by so every time you like
every time you ask for a quote, it goes up?
How peculiar.
And I thought that was a bit fucking weird, because it does it all the time in England. And that's what brought me. I wonder if it does it here too. And it does. And then I was like, okay, so go incognito mode. And when you're in incognito mode, it stays the cheapest. So rule of thumb, if you're doing a quote with an insurance company, do it in incognito mode on your browser and they won't increase it. Also, depending where you live also depends on your insurance premiums as well.
Yes.
Which I think
I did know about that.
Fucking shit. But
Which
anyway.
is crazy, because it's kind of like the more further into the city you live, the less incentive you have to own a car.
Yeah.
Because like your insurance goes up the closer you go into a city. Because there's more risk with having a car accident because there's more cars around.
But also, like, because when I first got my license and got my first insurance and all that sort of stuff, there was a rule that all insurance companies had. And the rule was, if you are a non-claimant person, your premiums become cheaper.
Right.
So if you're a 46-year-old man and you've been insured for 20 years and have never made a claim, your premiums are as cheap as they can come.
Yes.
And same with like the elderly as well.
Spent like $20,000
because
you've already paid for a brand new car.
Exactly. You have paid that much money for insurance. Technically speaking, if you had all that money that you paid in a bank account, you would not need an insurance company.
Exactly. Like that's the way I've seen a lot of insurances too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, those days are gone, and now that 46-year-old man who's now like 60, paying top dollar. It's like,
right.
And then every year they increase it. It's like, that's fucking bullshit. And I've had this argument with them a lot, and I'm like, why are you charging me when I've never made a claim, instead of charging those who do make claims? Because they're the ones costing you money, not me. I'm making you money. So why are those policies and all the insurance companies changes? It should reward those that don't get in accidents, because we're the ones that make the money. Like. So
yeah, I think it's one of those things where you look at it and you think, you know what, maybe I actually don't need this. I'm just gonna stick with what's compulsory, and then just, I mean, if you live out in the middle of nowhere, and the chances of you actually getting into a car accident are pretty much minimal to none.
Third party fire theft is what I would recommend people to go.
If you live out in the middle of nowhere, if the
yeah,
conditions
and you
are
and you
correct,
don't
then
have an
sure.
expensive car.
Yeah.
If you have an
If you
expensive
can,
car, go full comp.
yeah.
Because if someone smashes into your car, the cost of repairing the car is ridiculous. I see all the time, like thousands of dollars for like a fender bender.
Thousands of dollars?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Especially modern
When-
cars with all these sensors and shit.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah,
I mean,
like you crash into a 300 series Land Cruiser, that's like $3,000 just in the back.
yeah, right.
And that's in
Okay,
parts
well,
alone, and then you got
that's-
to add labor. It's like now a 7K job to repair all that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty intense,
Yeah.
actually.
Now,
Basically
if
hypothesized that we would really live one of those lifetimes because of the trends of the few things covered in the class. Then 6 months later, COVID
Yeah.
outbreak. Yep, that's just really bad timing. Or really
Yeah.
good timing.
and then there's also other things in that you should be careful. Like I see it time and time again. Make sure that your insurance provider, mine does not, but make sure they cover accidental fuel contamination, because if you fuck that up, that's going to cost you a shitload of money to repair.
Yeah.
And I see it every day, like at least 2 or once a week, where people put AdBlue or petrol or incorrect fuels in their vehicles. And it's like thousands of dollars. It's not cheap to fix. It's cheap to fix if you fucking don't start your car. If you start your car, you're fucked. And unfortunately, we've had one individual whose insurance said no. I think he worded it incorrectly though, because they don't cover, which is the same insurance company I'm with, so it's good to know. So when my premiums go up, I'm jumping ship from them.
Yeah, right.
So basically, they said incidental fuels. Now he put AdBlue in his diesel Everest. Was it Everest? Yeah, it was an Everest. And AdBlue is not a fuel, so it's not incorrect fuel.
Yeah.
he can-
So I
the-
can see where they got him on the technicalities.
It's not, yeah, but you could argue that, and you could take them to court and win. It's not a fuel. AdBlue is a what would you call it? An emission control fluid.
Yeah, that'll work.
That's what I would word it as. It is not a fuel at all. It doesn't burn. It is not used for ignition source. It is used for a chemical reaction source. If anything, you could probably call it a catalyst. If you really want to go technical, it's piss.
Yes. Yeah.
You're pissing in your exhaust system. That's literally what it does.
Yeah, right. My advice for the times now is buy in bulk and buy it nice or buy it twice.
Yeah.
There's a little phrase I came across which I actually really liked, which is
Yeah.
buy it nice or buy it twice.
What does the buy it nice
And-
cover though?
Oh, so like reputable brands. Don't buy crap. Which actually, funnily enough, I think if you, I think part of the whole, you know how a lot of companies have gone to subscription-based business models.
Yeah.
Ironically, I think the whole buy it nice or buy it twice in a way has also led to that, because
Yeah.
take Adobe for example. I mean, how many people do you hear? How many professionals do you hear use anything other than Adobe? So they've after a long period of time, these industry-leading developers, shall we say, they come to a point in their market where their products are so good that their market no longer sees any need to upgrade anymore.
Yeah.
So Pro Tools, for example, I'm still on Pro Tools like 12.8.4.
Yeah.
No, 12.8.2, which is something like that I got Pro Tools that version in 2018, I think it was.
Yeah.
And essentially I haven't paid for any sort of upgrades to it at all. So so a lot of companies have whether it's greed or necessity, gone to a business model because subscription-based model, because no one's buying their newer products anymore because their old stuff's still pretty good.
Yeah, I do
only-
find that a lot in some companies, you know. It's like in the world of automotive, like tools, Snap-on.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, Snap-on's a good product, but like it's not better than King Chrome. It's not better
Yeah,
than
and
Sid Chrome. It's not better than Matco or any of the other brands. It's the one thing that I do think Snap-on's good for is the warranty. Like your tool breaks, they just replace it then and there, and it could be like 10 years old. Their lifetime
right.
warranty is lifetime warranty, and they are faithful to that. But they're not, and they're really expensive. So
I
the
mean,
w-
if
the
they're
w-
expensive,
yeah.
that's likely how they cover the lifetime warranty.
Yeah, it is. Like,
Which
don't
makes
get
sense.
it makes sense, and like you know, there's going to be Snap-on tools that they offer that no one else does because Snap-on is an automotive specialist, so they make really really good tools. So does King Chrome too, but not to the extent Snap-on. Snap-on also make aviation tools, which not many companies do that. Like if you're an aviation mechanic, they make everything. They make all your different riveters. They make all your different panel tools. They make your alignment hole tools and like all that sort of stuff. Like to be able to, because like when you're working on a plane and you've got the two sheets of metal, like say a helicopter or light aircraft, and because you know how they usually got like the body of them's like a thin aluminium sheet. It's real thin stuff. Like how do you hold the aluminium sheets together and then rivet them like so they're directly square so they don't come out of alignment?
That'd be rough.
It's hard, right?
That'd be rough.
There's actually a tool that Snap-on make to do that very task. And so what it looks like, you got a line of sheets like that, and then you got your different rivet holes. Now this isn't you riveting new panels. This is like existing rivets.
Right.
And what you do is this little tool goes through the rivet hole and then expands up like that, and then it sort of clamps front and back of the panel. So you'll like, so there's 10 rivet holes that have drilled out, and you need to re-rivet them. You put this tool in 9 of those holes, so then that way the sheet's perfectly in line, and then you can rivet that hole, and then you take that one out, and then you rivet that one, and take that one, rivet that one, take that one, and then that way it's perfect. Because in a plane, you can't have imperfections, otherwise it affects the aerodynamics.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
You can even rip the whole aircraft apart.
Yeah. So you have to be like clean, precise, in you're working on an aircraft. So you know they make tools like that, which is fucking cool. You could theoretically use that on cars, but most of the time it's spot welded, so it doesn't really matter as much. But yeah. So that's where they come in. They shine their light.
Hold on a minute.
And still power tools to this day. Milwaukee hold that. They're the best when it comes to power tools for automotive stuff.
A colleague of mine, of mine and myself have been sort of looking at Milwaukee in a different light recently because they've become like really expensive and
oh yeah,
for like no good reason by the seams of it. So
it's their
it
name.
seems like you're really buying the brand.
Yeah, you are buying the brand. A lot of the Milwaukee stuff, like. Okay, I would buy a Milwaukee grinder or a Makita grinder, but I would buy a Makita over Milwaukee for their grinders.
But all the other tools?
Yeah, so automotive stuff would have to be Milwaukee. Plumbing would be Milwaukee because Milwaukee's plumbing stuff's actually really good.
Right.
Their gardening stuff, so the lawnmowers, hedge trimmers and all that sort of stuff, wouldn't touch them. They're just overly priced. You can get any Makita one way, fraction of the price, and does better. Though, if I was a professional gardener, I would go with Ego, which is a completely different brand, which is dedicated gardening only. Anyway, I would go Makita for carpentry. I would go Makita for a lot of different things. Because they're cheaper. They go perfectly fine. Their batteries is where their drawback is. This is on the 18 volt, 40 volt. That's expensive. I wouldn't go 40 volt, to be honest, unless you're like professional and you can afford it. But even then, I don't see 40 volt being that beneficial. It's just the batteries on Makita really let them down. They need to really improve their battery platform. Milwaukee's battery platform is pretty good, but you're paying a ridiculous amount of money for it. So yeah.
I've still got my DeWalt. I'm still expanding my DeWalt collection. I'm actually
Yeah.
I want to get a
There's nothing wrong with Team Yellow.
Yeah, I love
It's
them. I reckon
it's
they're
just
great.
the only. Well, actually, no.
Well,
Some
you wanna
Makita tools
repeat
are right. The only area that Milwaukee outperforms the others is literally the electric tool area.
Right.
That's it on automotive. So their die grinders, their electric ratchets, their rattle guns, all those things are the only parts that are better than, say, Makita, DeWalt, and all them. Makita's half-inch impact gun, though, is pretty fucking good. It's like high-powered and stuff like that. It's not as good as the Milwaukee, but it will do the job without any issues. It'll get your like light truck tire off without any issues.
Right.
But everything else there sucks. But their drills, their impact drivers, DeWalt's drills, impact drivers. In fact, I'd actually probably say DeWalt is better for carpentry stuff than Makita is, because
Oh yeah, definitely.
DeWalt's battery system is way better. And yeah, like I think Makita really started to shine with their most recent product ranges, where you got like the X-Lock angle grinder using the Bosch X-Lock technology, where you can change angle grind blades out with a push of a button.
That's nice.
Yeah, because it's like got an X and it opens up like that and wedges the disc in. Bosch invented it, and they paid Bosch for the right to make it and use it and sell it. And their Starlock, same Bosch product as well. Their Starlock multi-tool is fucking great. And both those tools I want. I want an X-Lock grinder because I hate fucking changing grinder discs. And I want a Starlock multi-tool. The reason why I want the Makita Starlock multi-tool is its vibration technology. The whole thing is like anti-vibration inbuilt in it. It's like you don't, and it's not very loud too, so you don't really feel it as much. There is another technology. I think it's Starlock. Yeah. DeWalt use Starlock as well. I think their multi-tool is Starlock, I reckon. Theirs is cool too, because theirs is to change the blades on their multi-tool is just a little thing that you just pull down and the blade comes out and comes back on.
It wouldn't surprise me, because I have their jigsaw, and to change the blade on a jigsaw is a literal
I fucking hate
lever
it
on the face of it, and it is awesome. You push this lever forward, the blade falls out so easily.
I like that.
You put another blade into it, close it, and it's just done. You can have a new blade in it. In less than 5 seconds.
And that's what I go for. I go for ease of use when I'm working on something. Like,
you don't want to have to be thinking about how to use your tool
exactly.
whilst you're using it. You want to actually just get the job done.
Because I have my grinder's an old Black & Decker fucking gonna cut your head off thing. It's big, it's powerful, it's scary, it's got no safety features. I hate using it. Every time I use it, I feel like this is gonna be my last day on Earth. I hate it. It is so violent in use. The thing has nearly fucking cut my hand off so many times.
Yeah,
and
right.
Before you fucking get on your high horse and say, it's because you don't know how to use it, I've been using grinders for many, many years. My dad's taught me to use every fucking power tool there is. No. This thing... Now, I've used my dad's big fuckers, like the big ones that aren't even legal anymore. Like, I've used his aim grinder. That thing...
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Yeah. The discs are like this big.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the big boys. Can't even buy them anymore. They're not legal.
Oh, wow.
Well, you don't really need them anyway. But anyway, so I've used his big behemoth thing with a giant fucking cutting disc on it. That's not hard to use. It's not scary. And his other ones are the same size as mine aren't scary either. And he's got older Black & Decker, and he's got Makita ones, and he's also got battery ones. And I've used all of my old man's fucking power tools, and they aren't scary. They're not. There's nothing wrong with these tools. Mine's scary because it is shit at handling vibrations. So it's incredibly like your hands go numb after like a minute of using the fucking thing.
Oh, that's terrible.
The switch is very hard to turn on and off because it's old. And yes, I do need a new grinder, but you know they cost money, so that's why I haven't done it. And it spins ridiculously fast. Like compared to my dad's, his spin at a normal speed, mine spins like double that. So like it is really, really good at cutting things. Don't get me wrong, it will cut through stainless steel like butter with the bloody special cutting disc for that. And it will grind away like no tomorrow. But fuck me, every time you use it, it's a workout because you got to hold it properly. You got to fight it continuously because it just wants to rip that fucking thing out of your hand and just kill you. Like it's just, it's just so fucking scary to use.
Oh, no.
I hate it. I hate it with passion. And I didn't pay for it too, so it's even better. It's a freebie. So, yeah. Be careful with angle grinders. They can end your life.
Yeah. I think what's my next tool that I want to get from? Let's see. I think it's either gonna be a can't remember what they're called. They're called a router. I want to get a router. It's like a...
Yeah.
You know how... you know what a router is?
Yeah. Of course I know it. I've been wanting a router for a while because, like, there's been quite a few little projects I've had where I wanted to do the edges of, like, the edges of something, and I wanted a router to be able to round the edges off so they're not harsh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know what a router is.
Yeah, I want to get one of those because I want to build my own guitars. I want to build... I'd like to, at least at once, just build my own guitar literally from scratch.
Yeah.
And I would like a router to do that. I've got a jigsaw, palm sander, or orbital sander, actually.
I don't have a sander anymore.
Oh, really?
I had a No, it was an orbital. I had an orbital sander. It was the Velcro ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got the same one.
Yeah, it was the Velcro ones, and sorry, I've just realized someone's online that I want to raid into, and they will actually probably notice us.
All right.
I don't know if this is going to work. They might have a restricted, but we'll find out anyway. What was I going to say? Yeah, so it was the Velcro ones, and I hated it because, like, after a couple of rotations, the Velcro comes off, and it's like, and then you continuously fighting. I'm like, this is stupid. I'd much rather just buy a roll of sandpaper, cut it the size, put it those stupid little tab things, and then go to town. You know? Yeah,
no, that's
they're much better. Yeah.
My orbital sand has been very, very reliable.
Yeah, well, obviously now that have no ability to access my because I used to always borrow my old man's tools, and he used to. My dad used to let me borrow his tools because he knew I looked after him, like because generally they'd come back cleaner than he gave them to me, and I would always give them back and stuff like that. Whereas other people where they just never did that. So, yeah. But I could talk about tools all day, but we should really get going now.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to raid into someone that I never thought I would try and raid into. It might work, might not. I'm not going to say who it is, so we'll just see how it goes.
It's a surprise.
Yeah, surprise. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for and others to coming in and watching. We'll be back again, obviously, next Sunday. And yeah, I hope you have a good night and day, depending around the world. And thank you for watching.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Oh, hang on a minute.
What's happened now?
It didn't. No, it didn't work.
Oh.
Because I copied the. Don't know if it would work or not. Hang on a minute. Apologies. Just trying to. Holy shit, it actually worked. Fucking hell, we're rating into Terrorizer. Alright, let's go.
How are you rating into Terrorizer?
I know. He hasn't got many people watching either as well, but we're doing it. Alright, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. See you next time. Thank you.
Okay, this is really...
Alright, see you later. Bye.
How the fuck? Okay, bye.